Five, four, three.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this episode of, we are going to talk more into the New York new gun law from Supreme Court and what New York is thinking about doing. Uh, Great news on Miss Maxwell has been sentenced. Going to dig into a little bit of Hunter Biden's little voicemails that got posted. Talk a little bit about January 6th and the malarkey that's been going on and figure out why planes are landing in Michigan. This and more on Fire Talk Radio.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
Whoa. It
We're
is
back.
another Friday. Holy crap. I guess we are moving to Fridays. Fridays
Yeah.
makes my life so much easier, I think.
Okay. All right. So Fridays it is. So for those of
All
you
right,
that
so-
want to watch us live, tune in Friday evenings, right around 8-ish, sometime around there, Eastern time.
Or just check us out on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and it will tell you when we're
That's
live.
right. You'll get the little ding dong and say, hey, we got some ding dongs that are going live.
Yeah. So this is episode 38 of Fire Talk Radio. If you want to ever contact us, yes, check us out on YouTube. We are see all our past episodes, all our goofiness. Email address is firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Phone number is 814-380-9820. Check us out on Facebook and on Spotify or Anchor. You can see where all our streaming services are. Send us a note. Say hi. We'll respond. At least I will.
Hello.
It's been a hell of a week, huh? Since
Yeah.
last week we had abortion, Roe v. Wade overturned, and goddamn, everybody lost their goddamn mind.
Everybody over the weekend. It's like, and the worst part is the arguments are changing. Like they're now like not even trying to hide. Before, remember when it used to be like what was it? Safe, legal, and rare. Now everyone is just like, you know what? It should be for
Kill the
everyone. It
babies.
should be on demand. It should be, I just want to kill babies. I was watching TikTok videos of girls talking about how they want to get pregnant to kill their baby.
There was a dude that was pro-life. He goes, "What we should do is impregnate all Republican daughters, so they have to get abortions." Most pro-life people will fucking figure it out and keep the child.
Right.
So there was one TikToker. I absolutely adore this TikToker. Her name is Molly Mouse. She put up a 3-minute video. Perfect argument. It's a fucking unbelievable argument of how everybody acts and how the left acts versus how the right acts. And I'm going to play that real quick.
Okay.
Because it's something. She's been.
I saw this one today. Yep. And I remember then you sent me also, but yes, I already
Yeah.
saw this.
V. Wade has been overturned. Yeah, but it wasn't banned or anything. It just means that the federal government gave the right to decide on the law back to the individual states. What am I supposed to do now? Well, birth control, condoms, and Plan B are all readily available at multiple different facilities and sometimes even for free. You don't understand. This is a war on women. Oh, I'm glad to see that you remember what a woman is. How can you be okay with the government just taking away our people's right to choose? Actually, by giving the power back to the states, it gives us, the people, more right to choose. But it's my body, so it's my choice. Oh, it's interesting you still feel that way after spending the last 2.5 years trying to force vaccines and masks down everyone in this country's throats. That's different. You could kill a person. Oh, so they're only a person when they can catch COVID. Got it. This is gonna get women killed. No, because there's not a single doctor in this country that would deny a woman a medically necessary abortion. And as I mentioned before, there are multiple options that are readily available for you to prevent an unwanted pregnancy before abortion even becomes an option. How inconsiderate of you. What if I'm raped? Are you expecting me to carry my rapist's child? No, absolutely not. That's why there are procedures in place. If you go to a hospital and report it, they'll scrape your uterus clean so there's no possible pregnancy. But I don't want to report it. That's okay. You don't have to tell the police anything if you don't want to, but you can at least be medically taken care of. Men shouldn't even get a say in this. This is about my body. Oh, okay. In that case, he doesn't have to pay child support. What? Well, yeah, if you're going to say that the father isn't involved or matters in the pregnancy, then he shouldn't have to pay child support because he's not involved. Well, but that's not fair. Yeah, that sucks. But it's also not fair for a father's input on the child's life to be completely disregarded just because the mother is the one carrying the child. They're both involved and they are both affected, so they should both get a say. You conservatives are such control freaks. You just don't understand. My uterus had as many rights as a gun. Oh, you want to have as many rights as a gun, do ya? On a
I've
federal
seen
level
that.
alone, there are more rules and regulations about a fire.
What?
I said I've seen that argument, that meme so many times that guns have more rights than a woman or something like that. It's like really.
Yeah,
You wanna go
she's
through the steps
she's
that you have
about
to
to
go through to get a
explain
gun?
all of that here in a second. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I was like, huh? Are you sure? You sure? Is that what you want? Because this is about to happen.
Firearm than there are about your uterus. So you want to be restricted from all federal buildings, movie theaters, school campuses, and banks. You want to be withheld from crossing certain state lines. Oh yeah, and you need to get a serial identification number stamped on that ASAP, and anytime you're pulled over by a police officer, then you are legally obligated to let him know that you possess one. Oh yeah, if you have a uterus during a crime, then your punishment is automatically boosted another 10 or 20 years. Private businesses are allowed to say no uterus is allowed. Oh, and don't forget you have to have a license to carry it. Oh, and if you want a shorter uterus, then you have to pay a $200 tax and wait about 6 months for the government to file all the paperwork for that. You still want the same rights as a gun? Alrighty then. I can't believe.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean she hits like the nail on the coffin with that little skit.
You know,
Because
there's-
that's almost every argument I've heard all week is,
Yeah. well,
and so many people have actually used her skit, like they duetted her skit and be like, look at this dumb shit.
the big thing, one of the big things in there is the whole, well, you don't have a uterus, you don't have a say. You're a man, you don't have a say, because obviously we know what a woman is now. Or should I
No,
say
yeah,
a
now
birthing person?
now we know what a woman is. Yeah,
Right.
'cause-
So, but no, that's the thing, is they want to say that men don't have a say on whether your child lives or dies. Basically, that's what they're saying. You don't have a say on whether your child lives or dies. But if the mom decides that he's able to live, she has a say in that. If she decides that he or she can live, then you have to be responsible for that child for the next 18 years.
yeah. Which
So I'm all for child support. Pay child support. If you have a child and you need pay child support. But that also means that you have a say in that child right from the get-go. And that
Yes.
might also mean having to help and pay for medical bills, just like a married couple does. It means a lot of things, but it also means that you have to you get a say in whether that child lives or dies.
I know in most states, I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is here in PA or up in Michigan. I know in Maryland and the Virginia area, if non-married couples, it's only sole custody. The joint thing isn't determined until the child is at least 13, which is weird.
Yeah, I know around here it kind of depends on the district and the friend of the court and all this stuff. I have a lot of friends that, especially men, that are fighting for their rights to see their child. Um, that's that's the unfortunate thing is also our custody system is broken. Our
Oh yeah,
custody system is leans so much towards the mother rather than what's best for the child. And honestly, what's best for the child is to have both parents. Have both if both parents are willing to be involved with the child, then allow the child to be with both parents.
yeah.
Um and unfortunately, I also know of uh people, I hate to say it, women that use the custody of the child to keep child support. They don't want to give up their child support because if you have equal time, then that means that child support goes by who makes more money so that it kind of evens out, which I think is a dumb thing anyway. But it goes by, the difference in what you make. And the woman doesn't want to lose that. But if she has, primary custody, then because she has primary custody, even though they make the same amount, say they both make 50,000 a year as a ballpark number, but she has primary custody 80% of the time, then she gets a portion of his paycheck that would equal, the amount of time that she has the child.
Yeah.
And I have friends that the dad is fighting for the child. One of my friends, he even said, I'll keep paying child support if you want. I'll keep it where it's at and let me have equal time with my daughters.
I believe
the-
if the parents, the problem is I've seen, and I know plenty of people that have gone through this. The it's not even the parents are bitter towards one another, or at least one is bitter towards the other.
Yes.
And the one that's usually the bitter one is the one that actually has the child and
uses the child as a tool to get back.
yeah, as a pawn more than.
And in this
the-
particular case that I mentioned, I think that's also a part of it. Why the mother won't is because she wants
Yeah.
to destroy the dad, who was her husband at one point, who is her ex-husband, wants to destroy him and is using the kids as the means for that. And honestly, courts need to be able to see through that. That's what the courts and the friends of the court and all of that is for. Is to see through that manipulation and be able to go, no, it's best. You're both in stable homes. You're both in the same school district. You're both like, there is no reason why this child shouldn't be. So yeah, but that being the case, like I said, the other thing, and I brought this up in a previous episode, I don't know how it is in other states, but in Michigan, if you're married and the wife cheats and gets pregnant by someone else, and I know this from a few different people that this has happened to, if the wife cheats and gets pregnant by someone else, the person she's married to is responsible for that child.
That's just messed
So
up.
if you're married, you're going through a separation or a divorce, but it's not finalized and she gets knocked up by someone else, the guy that is going through the divorce with her has to pay child support on a child that's not even his.
There's got to be a way to fight that.
There is, but it's a backwards fight because the father then has to sue the guy that knocked up his wife, and the guy that knocked up his wife has to pay the father back what he pays in child support.
Oh, so it's an ugly triangle of money. So that person would give the wife money, and then the jackass that cheated with your wife has to give you the money back.
Right.
Yeah, that's just fucking asinine.
It is. It is. And I know one that he never fought it, and he's got a beautiful daughter. She's off to college now. She's 18. He doesn't pay for her anymore, but he was paying $900 a month on a child that his wife had.
And that's another
That
thing
his
about
wife
child
had
support
that
that
because
never
she cheated
fucking-
on him.
Never understood with me is why fucking child support. If I had child support, I could never fathom paying $900 a month because it's like, oh well, that's my whole fucking paycheck. Where the fuck am I gonna eat?
Right. Oh, that was more than half his paycheck.
Yeah, that'd be like,
That basically one whole pay period was going towards child support.
yeah, that would suck.
So, you know, and oh, and then it gets even better because she was living with another guy, not the one that knocked her up. She was living with another guy, didn't marry each other until after she turned 18 and child support was over. Because if she married him, then they're dual income and things change.
Oh,
So by living with him but not marrying him, she filed single every year. And he was still responsible. And he was responsible for health insurance on the child. Even though the child was living
insane.
with the mom and another guy for most of her life, the dad that wasn't her dad had to pay for her. That's how fucked up the system is.
it's pretty fucked up.
So, but think of it this way too. Your wife cheats on you. You want to be a responsible person and say, have the child, I'll pay for it. I'll even raise the child if you want. The wife can still go out and get an abortion. You have no say in it. So, in both situations, the husband that did absolutely nothing wrong is being punished.
Sounds about right. Unfortunately, I mean, it's very hard to kids in divorce. I think have always. I'm a subject of a child from a divorced family. And then both my parents, one lived in Maryland and the other lived in Virginia. I mean, granted, I mean, it was literally a 45-minute drive from one place to the other. But that was always a pain. And now that I'm old enough, I can really say I really didn't care for either one of my parents. It just,
I think so much depends, you know. I know one of the reasoning is they say, well, you have to have a primary parent because a kid needs a stable home, needs that. And it's like, yeah, but the kid can have a stable home in both. I've seen it where kids do really well. You need to have, like, if you have a boy, the boy needs his father. He needs a male figure. He needs a father. You know, just as
a
the boy
man
needs
can
his
only teach a
mother.
boy how to become a man. Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Just as a boy needs a mother to, you know, get that, you know, feminine side of the family and all of that. You know, I'm sorry, libs, men and women are different. We were designed differently, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, all of that. There was a study that was really, I remember in college, we were talking about studies, and one of them that I remember for some reason was they were studying the difference between how men and women's minds work. And of this, generally speaking, in this study, one of them was, I I don't know how they tested like the thought reaction or something with senses or whatever, but
Sure.
what they noticed was is that when opening up and they were told to pull something out of the refrigerator, they pulled them both out. Men and women pulled out like, I don't know, mustard, pulled it out at about the same rate. But what they found is that women saw the mustard first and recognized it in their mind, but reacted to that faster, reaching out and grabbing it, or reacted to it slower, reaching out and grabbing it, to where men actually didn't recognize the mustard as fast, but reacted faster to reaching out and grabbing it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So it's kind of
All
like when we're searching around the house for something and my wife is going, walks right in like nothing, uses her magical power to automatically see what I've been searching for the last half hour
Yeah.
trying to find. And she's like, it's right here, and grabs it. You're so blind. And I'm like, but I literally looked right there. I lifted everything up.
I fucking have been there. I fucking pulled shit out. And my wife pulls something right out. And I'm like, I sat here for like 10 minutes looking for this thing. Well,
Yeah.
you're blind. I said, well, I already knew that, Sherlock. Fucking don't tell me nothing I don't know. It's just, it's right there. Whatever.
Yeah. But that's the difference between, again, men and women. We're different.
Well,
As much as the leftists want to say men can be women and women can be men and all this bullshit, we're not. We were made differently, not just physically, emotionally, psychologically, all of that. Sociologically, we were made different. We were made to complement each other.
Speaking of men,
we're
let's talk about the gentleman from Ohio.
Um, who we were supposed to talk about this last week. We forgot to come back to it after our long rants. This is about a father who was completely devastated in court after another gentleman was convicted of killing his toddler son. I will never say I could imagine what this gentleman probably was feeling knowing that another person took my kid's life. I mean, I can say all the shit I
Well,
probably would do to somebody.
Yeah, so the father, Antonio Hughes, was caught going up to, and I'm sure you'll play the video, going up to the murder suspect, Deshaun Brown. Brown is accused of...
Deshaun Brown, yeah.
Deshaun Brown. Brown is accused of stabbing the child and throwing him into a river. Like, we're not talking like, oh, it was an accident, or no, this was like...
This was intent.
I would have such a hard time not trying to kill that person myself if someone did something like that to my son.
I always told my wife, I said, the cops have to beat me if something were to happen to the kids. I'll say it now. If something came into the point of someone was endangering my children, the phrase "fuck around and find out" comes to mind. I will call the cops and tell them that what's about to happen. I'll tell them, you better beat me to him. And then I'll hang up the phone. That would be my phrase.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, let something happen. So this is what happened in court. So the convicted party is at the front.
Yep, he's sitting at the desk.
I don't know which one the father is, though. I bet we're
You
about
see
to
the
find out
father
here in a
run up
second.
behind. Yeah, you'll see the father run up behind.
Yep, he's right there.
Jumps up.
So he was
runs
the
up,
one sitting in the back.
and he starts slugging him.
Got him.
And the guy cowers like a pussy.
Oh, he's sitting. The thing is, the guy who did it, he's sitting there up there in his mouth.
Now you know if there wasn't metal detectors there, that father would
Oh,
have had
that-
a weapon with him.
That
Yeah.
that dude would have probably fucking killed him if there were no metal detectors or anything. That guy probably would have been a dad, snuck in a gun and said, "I would have forfeited my life.
Yep.
You took mine, I'm taking you." It's an old Bible quote of eye for an eye.
Yeah, it's
And,
kind of a bastardized quote, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, in its generic Old Testament term, yes, an eye for an eye. Fuck, I think that was in the book of Job. Don't ask me the verse and I think it's in the book of Job. But
Sorry, I have the Bible app.
when I was 13, I went to go stay with my aunt, and that's when I left Catholicism and I became a Christian.
It's in Exodus.
Oh, it's in Exodus. Okay, it's in the Old Testament. I can tell. I knew that much.
Yeah, I knew it
Um,
wasn't Job, but I was trying to remember.
But I had to read every fucking book of the Bible. That was just a long summer. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think that anyone would have faulted that father whatsoever for having that kind of a to
But if there is serious injury, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. Now, mind you, this is Exodus 21, and that's verse 24. You have to remember, Exodus 21 has stuff that we may not actually agree with anymore. Like anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property.
yeah, no, don't agree with that whole thing.
If anyone curses their father or mother is to be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps
Shit.
someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. Actually, that one might, yeah. Anyone who attacks their father or mother is to be put to death.
I've already heard like 3 reasons why I should have already been dead already. Oh yeah, I forgot one other thing that happened this week.
Hold on.
State of
If a man
California.
sells his hold on. If a man sells his daughter as a servant, she is not to go free as a male servant does. If she does not please her master, who has selected her for himself, he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners because he has broken faith with her.
God
If he
damn.
selects her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, or marital rights. If he does not provide her with these 3 things, she is to go free without any payment or money.
Yeah, that's
So-
all fucked up.
So the whole eye for an eye thing, everyone likes to use that. You have to remember we're talking Exodus, we're talking Old Testament. These were laws based in the time that they were made. Jesus changed a lot of them old laws.
This is very true.
That's the reason that Jesus died for our sins and all of that.
Yeah, it
is
was another thing
because-
that people were bitching about on TikTok about abortion. They're like, "Oh, yeah, everyone that believes in God wants to believe that Mary doing it. She's quote the Virgin Mary for a reason. We cannot honestly say yes or no that she was doing somebody at the same time.
Well,
and
A lot
or
of peop-
thereafter.
a lot of scholars believe Mary was like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Um, but on top of that, according to the Bible, it was immaculate conception, or at least according to my Catholic faith, it was immaculate conception. Does that mean that they didn't do anything afterwards? No, doesn't mean she stayed a virgin her whole life. Jesus had brothers and sisters. So, yeah. Now, again, these arguments, that, say that you can't be a Christian and still believe in, women's, or not believe in a woman's right to choose and all this. No, it's right there. One of the best, I think, is somebody posted, you can't be a Christian and judge someone for only God, and they said only God can judge. And it's like, no, there's a whole book called Judges. The thing is we can judge the actions of people. We can't judge what's in their heart. Only God can do that. And you get judged when, the time comes to go to heaven and stuff. But judging what's in their heart, that's only God. I don't judge people in what's in their heart. I judge people by their actions. And I can judge if an action is good or bad. We do that all the time. I can say, I don't want to hang out with these people. Growing up, I said in school, those are the stoners. I don't want to hang out with them. That was my judgment. That girl is a bitch.
People I hung out with.
Yeah, the people you hung out with.
That was my fucking crew, man. It was either
that girl is a bitch. I don't want to be near her. You can judge people's actions. Don't judge their hearts.
I forgot one other thing that we were going to talk about tonight. The state of California deciding to dox the whole entire fucking state. Did you see that?
No, that's a new one to me.
All right, so I linked it on the show notes. So the state of California put up a registry on their website of those that had concealed carry permits. Well, someone oopsed and released all names, all addresses, all date of births, why they had the gun in the first place. It was so bad. It was like, oh, fantastic. So it's like, the thing is, it was over a scope of like 10 years. So if you had a gun, but say you had like a no contact for somebody, and that person couldn't find your address.
They know who you are.
Know who you are. What guns you have in the house.
That's the other thing, is basically you're telling people what houses are armed. And either people break into them houses to get the guns, or they'll say, well, I know not to go to that house. I'm going to their neighbor's house.
Yeah.
The whole point of, I said this before, the whole point of a CCW or CPL, whichever you want to call it, or people owning guns is, my neighbor doesn't have to own any firearms, but he still gets the protection of me owning firearms, because it makes the criminals think twice about who they're going to attack. If they know nobody is armed, why do you think most of these attacks happen in gun-free zones?
I mean, look at what the state of New York's doing. So, as we spoke on the last show, SCOTUS repealed one of the major things for the state of New York about their concealed carry. It was you had to figure out why you needed a concealed carry, why you wanted to take it outside your home.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
it was a may issue. So a may issue law means, oh yeah, we're not telling people they can't get a concealed carry. We're just saying we may issue it to you if you have a legitimate enough reason.
Well, Supreme Court revoked that, said it infringed on their law. So they're looking at new legislation. They're looking at bringing in more where you're allowed to have a gun now and where you're not. My thing is, those laws are only affecting law-abiding citizens,
Yep.
not affecting.
No laws affect criminals because they don't pay attention to the laws. All of these laws affect law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing about all these gun laws is that, you know, we always say, oh, you're making us criminals overnight. And then you have leftists saying, well, if you want to obey the law, then you won't be a criminal. The whole point of a law is that you try to rein in and make the criminals do what the average person in society does. You know, you have laws against murder because you don't want people to, you know, like for us, something happens, so I decide I'm gonna knife someone or I'm gonna shoot them. There's laws to stop criminal acts so that they are more in line with general society. In the case of gun laws, though, they want to take general society, general people, and make them into doing what criminals are doing by enacting these laws. And that's so when we say you're making a criminal out of people, it's like the whole, you know, well, if they start making you register every single firearm and notate what you have and where you have it, and the police can stop by and check your house at any time and yada, 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 you're going to have a lot of people that are going to go, or say you have to turn in all your guns. You're going to have a lot of people that just so happen to, quote unquote, accidentally lose their guns over the side of a boat on a fishing trip.
Right?
Because the United States has a history and a custom with firearms, and firearms for our protection, firearms to protect us against a tyrannical government, firearms for hunting, for sports, for a lot of things.
I remember what was watching, was it Marjorie Green Taylor, right after the Texas shooting. Someone from England said, why do you want your gun so bad with all these shootings? Yeah, then why don't you go back to your own country where they're going through school stabbings, where people are just stabbing people to death? And I was like, stabbing is worse than shooting because you have to get personal.
Right.
That's a personal thing because I understand having a gun for the protection. Yes, pulling that trigger and knowing that you could take a life is terrible. I will never, I mean, say go out and shoot people. That's no. Defense and self-defense. Yes.
Right.
Having that known protection will be, I believe is in the matter of what's needed. But yeah. But if you look at a lot of the old countries like China, Russia, Germany, France, a lot of them abolished gun laws. And look how well they treat their citizens. They just run them over. And I think that is the one thing the U.S. government knows. And before anybody comes in and if they want to email me and blast us, like, oh yeah, but that was back when they had muskets. Okay, one, there was a rifle that was semi-auto that shot 20 balls without having to be restocked. You had the Gatling gun. that was hand cranked. You had cannons. You were legally allowed to buy a warship. There
thing
was
is
an AR style gun at that time. It didn't shoot bullets. It was muskets, so they shot, but it was clipped. So the thing is like the Second Amendment in SCOTUS has stated the law has evolved with technology, has how it's gone. I'll
Just like
I'll
every
put a
other
Gatling
law
gun on
in
my
our-
roof. Like, okay, Second Amendment. I'm gonna strap a Gatling gun to my roof. Fine. But it's not, that's not something that's a necessity. Having an AR-15 or having a shotgun, having a pistol, they're all semi-automatic guns. Everyone wants to sit there and say they're automatic. You cannot legally own an automatic rifle unless you get a special permit from the ATF.
Right.
And those are
that
usually
came out in
only
the 80s.
yeah, and those that are either that have it are former military, law enforcement, period. And unless you can prove to the ATF why you need these guns, that's the only way you can have it. Everything else pulls you pull a trigger, a bullet goes. Next bullet comes in. So technically it is how fast you decide to click your finger. But it all comes down to responsibility, and those that are being responsible are the ones going to go get the permits, go through the legal background checks, making sure they do the training, they go to shooting ranges, right?
Yeah.
And then they store them either in a safe. Hell, my wife and I, we were looking at the biometric gun locks you can strap to like your nightstand. So you have to put your thumb on it before
And
the
read your
lock will
thumbprint.
release.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And I was like, yes, this way even though it has like a trigger lock too. So the lock goes over the trigger and then a lap bar comes over the back where the hilt, so you can't pull it out. So it was like, so when you hit it, it unlocks and then off you go. But it also doesn't give it enough room. You can't leave a clip in it either. And I'm like, that would work. I would respect having that because one, then I know my kids can't come in and put their thumbprint on it and then take the gun and go. And but also that means someone can't break into my house and take my gun because they can't get into it.
Right.
And so yes,
In some of these laws, that, I think it's DC, because they lost the Heller case, said, well, we have to let you store a gun at your house, but it has to be disassembled. It can't have the magazine and the ammunition stored with it. It can't be ready to fire. And it's like, that defeats the whole purpose of having a home protection gun.
That only classifies for a magazine round gun, not a 6-shooter.
Not a revolver.
Yeah, no, the revolver, the bullets can be in the same case. So literally you have to open up the chamber, throw the bullets in, and then set it. And
but even
most
so,
of your
that
revolvers,
defeats the purpose of a firearm. And I'll let you know right now. My
is to
protection
be ready
arm,
and
my
go.
pistol, my protection firearm, that I don't think has not had a round chambered in 20 years. Unless I'm cleaning it, that has a round in the chamber, a magazine full, always. Because that's the point of it. The point is that when I need it, I don't want to have to fiddle with putting stuff in and doing this. I want to be able to grab that and go.
Yeah. So
Even these
That-
people
that-
that carry a pistol with a magazine in, but nothing chambered, so it doesn't accidentally discharge or something. Again, even that defeats the purpose, because if you're taking that extra, maybe 1 second, 2 seconds to pull the slide back and chamber in the round, that can mean the difference between life and death.
yeah. No, I completely understand that. I mean that, including with the new with I will say this, I believe this got swept under during the Supreme Court outcry, the new gun safety bill that got passed through Senate, and
Yep, it's
it was signed. It was signed Saturday. It is
it is a piece
some
of
parts
garbage
of it
reaction.
I can agree with. Some parts of the bill I can agree with. But the one part that bothers me the most, federal money will go to states to promote red flag laws.
Yeah, red flag laws are, in my opinion, unconstitutional to begin with.
Well, that affects what, your Fourth Amendment and your, I believe, your 10th Amendment.
No, 10th Amendment says
No.
that anything not in the Constitution is delegated to the states.
Well, I know search and seizure, and the Second Amendment.
And depriving a person of property.
Yeah.
So
So and this is where liberals, the fucking far off the cliff liberals, Maxine Walters, AOC's, Nancy Pelosi. Oh, this person has a gun. They're unsafe. That's all that is needed for them to be able to go in and take your guns and then they go and then they have you go to trial to determine that you can keep your guns. I honestly, like the Senate, I think they just gave in to this fight just to let the Democrats have a win. That's the way it looks.
It's a part of the Fifth Amendment.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a part of the Fifth Amendment that says, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
There you go.
Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So that's the eminent domain part. But that part right there, that clause, not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. The problem with these red flag laws is that you're guilty until proven innocent. So somebody, it can be a disgruntled ex-wife, girlfriend. It can be someone online that, some leftist that doesn't like what we said, makes an anonymous tip. They come, they seize your property, and then you have to fight to get your property back. Now, this is without you getting any type of psych evaluation. It's without a 72-hour hold. We're going to take it, we're going to hold it, and then we're going to see if there was any reason to take your property. And even if they find no reason, you still have to fight to get it back. Because all the person has to say basically is, oh, this person said something that made it sound suicidal or made it sound, whatever. It's one of those, again, it's a reactionary law, because the thought process behind it is, well, if more people spoke up and we could take these guns away from people, we wouldn't have these mass shootings because somebody spoke up before they could shoot. And in if you were a young kid and you took they said that, you would go, yeah, that kind of makes sense in your mind. Yeah, if we took their stuff, they can't shoot anybody because we took it away from them. But when you make something that's so easily abused and then make it so difficult to get compensation and to rectify it, even if it was, I'd be leaning a little bit more towards it if they said, we'll take your guns away for 30 days. And in 30 days, if we can't find a justified reason to charge you with something, you get them back. I'd be a little bit more lenient towards it then, but any of this, it's no different. What is that? God, what's it called? The seizure law, where police can seize your property if they think it has to do with drugs.
Oh,
Or- Something seizure. Basically, it's been abused so many times because they seize your property, they seize your money, and the police stations can use it for whatever they want to use it for, or the city or whoever. And you have to go to court. They don't even have to charge you with anything to seize your assets. Asset forfeiture. Thank you.
yeah, there we go.
Asset forfeiture laws.
I'm sitting. I just right as you said it, I finally found it. I was like, there it is.
Asset forfeiture. We were thinking the same thing. You must have thought it, and it came through the internet to me.
I must have. I don't know. I was like,
but
I know this.
Asset forfeiture is another one that, again, in a purely utopian, nobody ever does anything wrong society, that would work, because you would say, this person's a drug runner. We have to, hurt their business somehow. So let's seize all their assets so they have no money to buy more product, to do all of this stuff. But then you have lots of stories of people that are driving down the road and they get pulled over, and the person just sold the house, so they took all their cash so that they could move someplace else and wanted to take their cash with them. And they were, and it was seized, and they can't get that money back. Had nothing to do with drugs, nothing. They weren't charged with anything. None of that. And now you're going to court. You're suing. You have to sue. And most of the time when you sue, they've already gotten rid of the assets. So you can't even if the court says you get that back, you can't get it back.
No, it's yep. No. Fucking, it's with the red flag. Yeah, with the red flag law, it's really gonna be touch and go. And that's the thing. Kind of really wish we would roll back to the 80s and 90s when shit fucking made sense anymore. But
Yeah.
fuck, I will admit, the way things are going, I would actually rather, if I had to be under a Democrat presidency, I would rather be under Bill Clinton.
Well, the second half of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, after he got the blowjob from Monica Lewinsky.
So let me read some of this. So listen to this. So these are some stories, some horror stories from the asset forfeiture law. In 2009, Mike Albine was 65-year-old Vietnam veteran, cancer patient, and restaurant owner residing in an RV in the parking lot of his workplace. State law enforcement began an undercover gambling investigation of his restaurant and purchased a small amount of marijuana from a cook. Based on that purchase and the presence of 9 video poker machines at the restaurant, police searched his RV and recovered 4 ounces of marijuana. This was below the legal threshold permitted the seizure of the vehicle. But law enforcement argued that the RV was actually a container for the marijuana and seized his RV and sold it in auction. He passed away in 2012, shortly after the state appeals court ruled that the seizure was invalid. His $30,000 in attorney's fees were not covered, and his estate received less than they believed the RV was worth. 2010, Frank Randall had owned his Ensley, Alabama computer repair shop for more than 20 years. One morning, his business was raided by police and more than 130 computers were confiscated. Some were for sale, others were undergoing repair and were supposed to be returned to the owners. Police were acting on an informant's tip that Randy was receiving stolen goods, but the charge was dropped when Randy demonstrated that he had followed proper protocol in the case of only one laptop he was accused of receiving illegally. So they accused him of it illegally. He showed that he got it legally. He spent years unsuccessfully trying to recover the confiscated property from him. Lyndon McKellen owned a convenience store in Fairmont, North Carolina. His business was mostly cash, and he regularly made large legal cash deposits. On the advice of a bank teller, most of his deposits were in the amount of less than $10,000 to reduce paperwork. Under federal law, this practice is legal as long as the deposits are not structured this way to avoid reporting requirements and to conceal criminal activity. Because McKellen was not attempting to evade these requirements, he believed he was following the law, but the federal government disagreed. In 2014, the Department of Justice obtained a court order to seize more than $107,000 from his account. As McLean said, "It took me 13 years to save that much money, and 13 seconds the government took it away." The case was eventually dropped, and McLean's funds were returned to him in 2015. In 2016, a federal judge awarded him legal fees as well. So that's good. He got that back. 2017, Phil Parfumich, what's with these hard names, was pulled over in Laramie County, Wyoming for improper seatbelt use and an apparent lane violation, which are both like pretty low traffic citations. The police officer was able to get him to consent to a search. That's why you never consent to a search. To consent to a search of his car, which contained
have you seen
years
the
of
Pot
his life
Brothers
savings.
on TikTok?
See who?
The Pot Brothers. They're a
No.
lawyer. They're a set of lawyers. I'll pull up their video. Keep going.
Okay.
They fucking make something. They make a stink of that thing.
More than $91,000 in cash was stashed in a speaker, which he intended to spend fulfilling a lifelong dream, the purchase of a Madison, Wisconsin studio where Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins had played. Phil was told he would be allowed to leave if he signed a waiver giving up the cash, which he did. He has no criminal record, was never charged with any crime, only a $25 ticket. His cash was eventually returned, and his story spurred Wyoming to reform its state's civil asset forfeiture laws. Jerry Johnson started his own trucking company in 2015. He currently has 2 trucks and 2 employees. Seeking to add a 3rd truck, he flew from Charlotte to Phoenix to attend an auto auction in August 2020. He was carrying $39,500 in cash, which is completely legal. They're very competitive, he told Fox 46. Thousands of people are there. It's basically you bring your cash and put a deposit down. When he landed in Phoenix, an undercover officer approached Johnson in baggage claim, asking if he had money or drugs on him. When he revealed that he was carrying cash, the officer interrogated Johnson for an hour and gave him a choice of signing forfeiture agreements or... So he signed. He has not been charged with any crime, and the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, has refused to return his money. A judge has ruled that Johnson failed to prove the money was legally his, and litigation is still ongoing. Johnson had previously served time in prison for possession of cocaine and marijuana. Most recently, in 2012, his trucking company has helped him turn his life around and created a value for others. You want me to keep going? There's a lot more.
No.
But
When-
what I'm getting at with this is asset forfeiture laws. Somebody at some point said, hey, this is a good idea. This will stop crime. But when you have all of this being done to people that are legally carrying money or carrying assets, or it's used in the wrong way, like, you know, a guy had, what was it on there? How much pot did he have in his
like less than less than an ounce or something like that.
yeah,
But it wasn't over the
police
legal limit.
searched and found 4 ounces. So they
Yeah.
found 4 ounces
Fuck that.
and seized everything, saying that it was a container for the drugs, and therefore, so basically they can say, well, if it's in your car's a container. If it's in your house is a container. Okay, go ahead
Shut
and
the
play.
fuck up when cops ask questions. The script, these 25 words we're talking about. To
I love
begin
this
with,
guy.
let's talk about what you do when that cop first comes up to you, and no matter what he says, where you going, where you coming from, what's that smell, how many drinks have you had, you know this is a high drug traffic area, why are you sweating, why are your eyes red, why do you seem nervous? Those cops can ask anything they want, and when they first come up on you, you want to say, why did you pull me over? That's the first phrase of the script, because under case law, the cops have about 7-8 minutes to give you a traffic ticket unless they find other independent probable cause to further detain you. And they find that when you start yapping. Now, just because they pulled you over doesn't mean it's a traffic stop. Maybe your tires are low or something else is wrong. So, why did you pull me over? Starts the clock ticking. That's your tip of the day. And shut the fuck up when cops ask questions.
Okay. He's right.
Well, I gotta find the other one.
So the thing I'll tell you, I used to ask people really random questions to get them to consent for me to search. So I used to ask if they had any swords or snakes in their trunk. Did I lose you? I think I lost you. All right. So I'm going to keep talking until Ryan comes back. So, yes, I used to ask people if they had any swords or snakes in their trunk because no one ever thinks swords or snakes. You know, if I said, hey, do you have any drugs in your car? Do you have any weapons? Do you have, well, then people get defensive and they're going to either say no or they're going to not talk or something. So I would say, you know, something that hardly anybody would have. And I say, so if I open up your trunk, there's not going to be a snake or something that's going to jump out and bite me or anything. I mean, and they go, no, you can look there. I got nothing back there. And then I pop the trunk and, you know, say it's a bunch of underage kids and it's filled with beer or something like that. So yes, when they come, the best thing you can do is you roll down your window. I keep my license or my registration and everything right in the visor. It's on a clip. It's right in the visor, so I'm not reaching around. I reach up. I grab everything right there. I have my license. As soon as they come up, I have it ready to hand to them. It's in my left hand. And I ask them, what am I being pulled over for? And don't answer any questions. If they ask you if you've been drinking, if they ask you any of that, you just say, you know, I refuse, or I don't wish to answer any questions. Here is my license and registration and everything.
Yeah.
Because they will. I mean, we do that. I try to strike up a conversation with people. I used to just talk to them, just like I'm talking to you. And as long as I keep talking, it's also weird because what they'll do, or what we do, is we talk, and then go quiet.
No, I completely understand that. I mean,
And did you see how uncomfortable that was
yes.
when we go quiet? So it makes them want to jump in with something. So the best thing you can do, have it in your visor so that you can pull it out, have it right in your left hand. If you're in the United States, I guess if you're in England, it'd be your right hand. But have it in your left hand so you can hand it out the window to them. Ask them what you're being pulled over for, and ask them what, or if they ask you anything, say, I do not wish to speak about anything outside of, here is my documentation.
Yep. Here's my. Why did I pull me over? I'm not discussing my day. Am I detained or
Right.
free to go? Have a nice day.
Right.
I mean,
You'll probably get the ticket. I'll let you know. If they're able to give you a ticket. The thing is, people for some reason think they can talk their way out of being in trouble.
I got pulled over. I was coming down a hill and it was going through a school zone. And I had my brakes on the whole fucking time going down, but I was rolling at 28 miles an hour, even though I'm trying to slow down. Cop pulls me over. He goes, you're speeding through a school zone. I said, officer, I was hitting my brakes the whole time. I really was. And he let me off with a warning because he's like, dude, if I give you a ticket right now, I'm taking your driver's license. I'm like, it wasn't like I intended to drive through a school zone.
Right.
It just happened to be, I'm in a 20,000 pound truck going down at a very steep angle.
That's the last time I got pulled over. Was very similar. It wasn't a school zone, but it's where the speed limit dropped from 45 to 30, like really fast. Like it was like boom, and you're going downhill because it's right over an overpass. And so you're going over an overpass, and there's that 30 mile an hour. And so, in order for me to make the turn, it's one of them turns where you have to hurry up and turn and gun it because the car's, in both directions. So I hurry up, gunned it, and then as soon as I get over the hill, I start hitting my brakes as I'm going down. Well, during that deceleration is when he hit me. But he had to turn around and come back, and he didn't pull me over for probably a mile later. And he asked me, I showed him all the stuff. Do you know how fast you were going? And I said, I believe I was going the speed limit. And he goes, well, do you know what the speed limit is? And I said, according to the sign, we just passed 30, and I was doing 30 when you pulled me over. And then he tried talking to me, and, well, there's, I clocked you doing this. And I'm like, I can't speak to what you clocked me. I can tell you what I was doing. Well, that's the other part, too. If he got me to admit that I was going over, he would have put that on the ticket. He admitted to doing, because I never admitted to it, it has to be on the radar, which means it gives me more leverage to fight it.
Yep. That's why.
So a lot of times it's easier. Doesn't mean lie to them. Don't lie to them.
Yeah.
If you're doing 70 and a 30 and you say I was doing 30, well, they can say, suspect suspect claimed to do 30 and clock was 70, that. But in this case, because I was decelerating and when he pulled me over and everything, and I didn't admit to speeding. Yeah. He ended up letting me go. It helps also that I have like a flawless driving record. So
I halfway thought. So yeah, my wife had an accident with a lawnmower a couple years ago, and I had to rush her to the hospital. I was doing 110 and a 60.
ooh,
I was fucking gone. Had my hazard lights on and everything. I was going. I was not gonna stop. And I was like, my wife looked at me. She goes, "What are you gonna do if a cop pulls you over?" I said, "They're gonna race me to the hospital
Then give you the ticket.
and then give me." I was like,
Or call an
Do you know-
ambulance and give you the ticket. Yeah.
"Yeah." Like when I got there, it's like when I get there and the cop goes, "The hell's going on?" I was like, "Well, my wife needs to get rushing my wife to the hospital for a reason. You can give me the ticket after I check her in." I'm not saying I didn't. I would honestly say I'm not going to argue the ticket. I know why I was speeding.
Now legally, that's not a justification for speeding.
Oh no,
Just because
absolutely. I'm not saying I
you're
was
supposed to in those
justified.
cases call for an EMS.
Yeah,
But
I was not saying at all I was justified in speeding. It would have taken longer for EMS to get to my house to get my wife and then take her to the hospital versus me just taking her to the hospital. So I put my defensive driving skills to work because
offensive driving skills.
no, in the state of Maryland, when it was time for my class to get their driver's license, they implemented you had to get 40 hours of driving school, and they would give us a discount on the insurance if we went through defensive driving school. So I did it. I was like, "Oh, I know how to make a 45-degree turn going 60 miles an hour and not rolling my car at the same time." So it was like a lot of those skills like came back into place. I was like, "Yep, I know what I'm doing here." It's just, but the thing with now the red flag laws and the search and seizure law and everything, it's gonna be making where I think where people's feelings are gonna come into more effect, and it's just gonna burn everybody, and that's not how our Constitution Republic, as I will fucking say it, because we are not a democracy, we are a Constitution Republic with some democratic laws.
Well, democratically elected representatives.
Yes. So, because that's another thing. People are like, "Oh man, the Republicans are destroying our democracy." We don't have a democracy. We've been a Constitution Republic. That was the whole point. Our country is literally the experiment for this version of government. There's been no other version of this government in any situation. I think the closest our government resembles is the Roman Empire government. They
based a lot of our Constitution off of
the
Romans. Yeah.
So, and the thing is, this is just it's getting to where it's going to be neighbor versus neighbor.
Yeah.
And that is very scary. That's a very scary thought or a notion that neighbor versus neighbor can be the end of you in the end. Now I'm kind of done with my thought on this.
Okay.
All right.
I was wondering where you were going, so I didn't want to jump in.
I kind of just I had it, and then nothing else would coming out. So we're gonna move on. I don't think we can beat this horse any worse than what it already is. I think the horse is on its side laying
The
there.
one thing I'm wondering is what would happen when someone has to challenge it and it does get to the Supreme Court. I don't know if it can pass the constitutional muster.
I don't.
Not with the court we have now.
Because technically, red flag laws are not constitutionally based. So
Right.
it's gonna. I honestly think SCOTUS, in their in their rights would have kicked that back to the state.
Well, no, they wouldn't have kicked it back. They would have followed the 14th Amendment to say that the U.S. Constitution trumps state laws.
Yeah. So that's gonna be the and before anyone and yes, I still believe that and the thing is on the TikToker, she made a really good point. You get more rights when it comes to abortion now. You have to elect the people. That's the thing.
Well, the thing is it was a bad precedent that was made in 1973 because literally they had to pull out of thin air a constitutional right that it had nothing to do with, and they pulled it out with the right to privacy.
Yeah, they attached it to the right to privacy.
I mean, the right to privacy is, you can't ask my doctor about my medical records. You can't come into my home and, all of that. That doesn't give you the right to take somebody's life and even with that, when we're talking, like I say, doctors and stuff, you're going to see blue states are going to go whole hog with this. I mean, it's going to be Disneyland for abortions in New York and California. Red states like Mississippi, they're probably going to go the complete opposite way as far as they can, and make it where it's the life of the mother only. If she's going to die, then you can perform it. It's these purple states, including Michigan, that would probably say, maybe Pennsylvania too, that says, you know what, we'll allow abortion up to 10 weeks, 12 weeks, something like that.
See, when was it? They were talking about the heartbeat law up to 15 weeks. I was okay with that. Don't get me wrong. I don't condone the use of abortion as birth control. I don't believe. I remember I could relate. I could see someone young get pregnant and feel like they've lost their entire life. But I also do believe a fetus is a child. Some way,
Look
shape,
up the
or form.
definition of fetus.
It's a stage of a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm not arguing that at all. And
see, to me, I used to believe, up until the heartbeat, once there's a heartbeat, that means it's alive. If it's alive and you kill it, it's no different than stopping anyone else's heart. That means you murder them. On a moralistic level, though, I have changed, and I think it goes back to conception. I mean, there's no further back that you can make it.
So, someone made a point. So if you assault a pregnant woman, and they're pregnant and the child dies, then the person who does it should be convicted of murder. Actually, I believe that it actually is a law in the state of New York.
In most states, if you kill a pregnant a pregnant woman, it's a double homicide.
Yeah. So it's not saying that that's not gonna happen. It's like, I just hit her so hard it killed the baby. That's murder, regardless. Right. So I think.
So how is it any different if you pay a doctor to go in and inject acid in there, basically, and kill it that way, or go in and pull it out limb by limb, or
let it come out and leave it there in a box.
Yeah, let it let it die from malnourishment. I mean,
You know, there was a TikTok I was watching. There was a kid outside of an abortion clinic. His girl was gonna go have an abortion, and he wanted to keep the baby, and he was devastated because he legitimately wanted to keep it, regardless if she wanted it or not. He was like, "I'll take it,"
right.
and the thing is, everyone wants to sit there and say men have more rights to a child than a woman. Actually, it's fucking opposite. A man has to fight more to get rights with their child than a woman does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there are a lot of good fathers out there that, because they dated crazy ladies, and I will
Yep.
fucking say crazy ladies because only a crazy lady would fucking do this. And they won't be able to see their child until they're 18 because they've been kept away for so long. And then they have to start a whole new bond because they couldn't have it because crazy lady wouldn't fucking let the.
That happened to a family member of mine that the lady, the mom, moved to another state. And because she had sole custody, she didn't push for child support or anything. But she wouldn't let my family member see the child. He didn't know who his dad was until he was in his mid-20s. And he came up and visited. And he found out he had a dad and he had brothers and sisters. He grew up an only child. He had brothers and sisters that he could have grown up with. He had family. He had cousins. He had aunts, uncles. We had a big party with him to show, hey, look, this is your whole family, that you're not to rub it in his face and say your mom, but just to show that, had you been a part of our lives, you would have been a part of this family, but your mom kept him away and lied to you.
All right.
I think she actually said his dad died or something. But that brings us around, like I said, one of the hardest things a person can go through as a guy is when your child's mother wants to kill your child and you have no way of stopping it. That's why at least with the law in Texas where anybody can sue, at least there's that they have in Texas, where if the mom aborts the child, the father can feel a little bit of redemption by suing the mother and suing the abortionist.
Yeah.
You won't
I
get the
always
child
believe-
back, but at least you'll get a little bit of punishment.
I believe with abortion, I think it has to be a 2-signature process.
I think it should too.
I don't know.
I mean, I
But-
don't want to see it at all. But
Yeah.
short of that, I mean, there's so much. That's the thing. Just think, what is it? Roughly 80 to 100,000 children die every year from abortion.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other one that's really funny. Remember Planned Parenthood saying that only 3% of their revenue comes from abortions?
Yeah. All of it comes from
Yeah.
abortions.
Well, I just saw this earlier this week. I'd have to look up the article, but one of their spokesmen was saying that they're going to have to close clinics because of this law.
Yep.
because they don't have the revenue coming in.
Yep.
It's like, well,
What was
wait a
it?
minute. If only 3%, you're telling me that you can't take a 3% cut?
Hold on. Let's see if I can. Someone did an interview and ended up finding the founder's grandson or the relative of the original founder of Planet Parenthood, and they did an interview with him and about the Roe versus Wade.
I'm looking up anything on the Planned Parenthood stuff. There's a fact check. Factcheck.org says that that's not true. That they're not closing. Well, they may not have closed yet. It's only been a week.
All right. Here's
Okay, so this is Axios. Multiple clinics that provide abortions have closed down Friday in the immediate aftermath of the Supreme Court ruling that will end federal protections. Let's see.
this
Alabama
is
Attorney General ordered abortion clinics to cease and desist all operations. Arkansas said it has paused all abortion services. Louisiana.
We're here in New York
All-
City asking people their thoughts on abortion.
Do you know who you're interviewing?
here's
Sorry, no.
Margaret
Please do.
I'm
Sanger's
Alexander
grandson.
Sanger. I'm the former president of Planned Parenthood of New York. My dad, Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood. You cannot make abortion go away by criminalizing it.
Mhm.
All you do is you make it unsafe. You put women at risk,
Mhm.
poor women, women of color,
Yeah.
women that don't have the advantages of middle class, wealthy women to travel somewhere and get an abortion.
Mhm.
It's discriminatory, it's unfair, it's unsafe, and to me, it's just a total outrage against women.
It's a woman's choice.
Yes. We're here in New York City asking.
So they
So
did this,
before-
and then someone found Margaret
Before
Sanger's.
hold on. Before Roe versus Wade in 1973, do you know how many people died from back alley abortions a year?
I don't know.
It's like 20. Do you know how many people died in legitimate abortions after Roe versus Wade a year? More than 20. They make it sound like people were using the coat hangers in the alley left and right, and people were dying all the time. They weren't.
I gotta find it. I don't know if Google will allow it to come up, but they were talking to how much the reason why she created Planet Parenthood and why they put it in non-provished communities, basically just to kill the black man, to limit them from having children, which
Yes, that was the original, because they believed in eugenics.
yeah, so that was the whole point of it. So I mean, if anybody wants to be called a racist, there you go.
Well, another
The-
example of leftist racism.
Or
Another example.
no, I mean, I thought we were the
I
racists.
mean, we get
right?
them all the time. We do. We get them all the time, but
All right,
now
so
there's a call to bring the justices up on charges from the left. There's a call to bring them up on charges and then pack the courts with 5 more judges.
yeah, so that's gonna go. So what's her name got fucking sworn in today?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
Miss Jackson.
Ketanji Jackson Brown.
Yeah. The statement was first black justice.
Clarence Thomas evidently
like-
doesn't exist.
I was like, Clarence Thomas, first black justice.
I don't even think he was the first. I think there
I
was
don't think he
someone
was the
before him.
first. I think he's just the one that he's just still on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? I mean, is this really what we're gonna do? I mean, we called what our vice president
Thurgood
Kamala
Marshall.
Harris
Thurgood-
an
that's who it is.
African American.
Thurgood Marshall
technically-
is the first African American Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
1967.
Mm-hmm. So, and then like, well, I mean, what we had what Kamala Harris. They said, oh, we have an African American president. Her background doesn't show that she's African American. She's half Jamaican and half India. Her background doesn't take her to Africa.
But her skin is darker than mine and yours, so
That's
that
not the
counts.
point.
but that counts
No.
to them. That's the thing. You know, there's so much faux racist calls against the Republicans when really what the left is they have racism through low expectations. That's why they believe that we have to have no voter ID, because people actually say black people can't get IDs. There was a YouTube video or a TikTok or something where someone actually went to a college, asked about that, and all of the white people said, well, black people can't get IDs. They can't get IDs. They don't know how to use a computer. They don't know. So then they went to Harlem and stopping people left and right. And they're like, yeah, I can get IDs. I don't know anybody that doesn't have an ID. Another person, you can't survive without an ID. You have to have an ID to get everywhere. Like,
Yeah. So that never made sense. It's like,
it's the racism of low expectations. The bigotry. There we go. The bigotry of low expectations.
there we go. Well, speaking of low expectations, we're going to move on to Miss Maxwell. As we all know, Jazine Maxwell, Leslie, however her first name is pronounced, was sentenced to 20 years for trafficking teens for Jeffrey Epstein, who
And I think they only got her on a couple charges because there were only like a few people that they could get fined that were
out of
underage at the time.
She was eligible. The charges, if she had gotten them all, would have totaled 65 years. She was only charged for some of it at total of 20 years. My problem is that book is still never been opened. Who did she traffic these people to? My thing is, who is the new Miss Maxwell?
So, okay. So hold on. 5 of the 6 charges, she was convicted of 5 of the 6 charges she faced. So of all of the people, all of the, the book, everything that went on with Epstein, all of those years, they could only find 6 people that were underage and were willing to come forward.
There's so many people that probably wanted just to fucking put it behind them. And
yeah, you'd be amazed how much that happens.
And I understand. Hey, what you went through, you were property. You were no worse than a piece of property to somebody. But in the long run, it needed to be spoken about. It needs to be brought up. I really wish we could have figured out, 1, who did all these people go to? 2, who is now taking over? Because sex trafficking isn't stopped in jail.
Well, that's just
Who's the new broker is the question.
well, and that's just one, think about it, just one ring, that was basically high class sex trafficking.
I was gonna say that was
to-
a pretty
to
fucking
rich-
giant ring.
Yeah, to rich people and politicians and
Presidents.
presidents. We know Bill Clinton went to the island and was on the plane more than once. We know Bill Gates was.
Well,
Those were that.
well,
that was
that's
from
why
what
that's
was
why his
leaked.
wife divorced him. She finally came out and said, "Well, yeah, because of his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein." That was
Right.
it. I was like,
there's celebrities on there, but the thing is the hard part with all of that is knowing who, because Bill Murray, I think, is on the list.
Will Smith is on the list.
Will Smith is on the list, and the question is who actually took part in the, trafficking part of that, and who, because Jeffrey Epstein had a persona about him that he was in that circle of, even Donald Trump at one point considered him a friend until he didn't. And we need
That
to
was
see
before
the book,
Epstein
or,
actually
they
got
need
the
to
island.
they need to put information out on the book or something that says these people just rode the plane or talked to him or did something. These people actually took a girl into their room.
Yeah. And
That's what it
and with
needs.
her and she's on suicide watch again, from my understanding, the last I knew. So they're
That means don't be surprised if she gets suicided.
yeah.
If people
My
fall
thing
asleep
is-
and the cameras go out.
I would have been willing, honestly, to make her a deal for every name and conviction that she is able to parlay, and I'll be able to attach. Oh, okay, in this book, this person was with this person, this person, this person, and this person, and then
Maybe get
and
some months off or something like
yeah,
that.
right, something, just to get the actual people that did the actual crimes with minors. Those people can now seek be just, and 10-1, those people who were unfortunately abused may now come forward because they know their abuser is actually gonna have a chance for justice.
Right.
In the
Hopefully.
situation.
Hopefully they do it in Virginia where they televise.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do it in Maryland, and Maryland televises too.
Someplace that televises. That would be
Oh
great.
yeah, that would be
The thing is I wish they could have televised this, but this is a federal case and they can't televise or have cameras in a federal courtroom.
so they have a nice fancy drawer where they draw
Yeah,
the
so they have a
faces,
person drawing.
So she's going away. Hopefully, maybe she smartens up and makes a deal or something. If not, secrets are going to be dead with her in the end, and that's the sad part of that. And the next one I wanted to talk about was Mr. Hunter Biden has finally hit the news yet again. Nobody's fucking talking about it.
Yeah, it's sad when you have to go to like the Daily Mail or get information from the New York Post, because nobody else will talk about this stuff.
a lot of the stuff I get from overseas more than I get from our own news because they won't talk about it.
Right.
So this one, I'll even put one here for those that want to watch us on YouTube or catch the replay. My screen. So this is about a voicemail that was caught off the laptop, mind you, off the laptop. So between Joe Biden's daughter with the journal and
Mhm.
Hunter Biden's laptop, how is he not impeached for wrongdoing? Period.
Okay. So impeachment is political.
Yes.
Everyone says it's about the law. It's not.
Okay.
Impeachment is purely political. That's why as soon as the Democrats took the House, the very first thing I said is, I guarantee before the year is out,
They're going
there
to
will
impeach
be an
Trump.
impeachment.
Oh yeah, they
Yep.
impeached him twice, but they couldn't convict. There was no
But
there was
the
no
thing
evidence
is
to conviction.
But they can literally impeach because they said, I don't like the way your hair is today. And they can impeach on anything. Impeachment is purely political. The legal part is with the Senate. And so think of the impeachment as basically the prosecution, and then the Senate is the actual trial. As long as the Democrats are running the House, he'll never be impeached. Republicans have to take over the House for anything to happen.
I saw where Mitch McConnell today said that if a red wave happens and they don't make him the Senate Majority Leader, he was going to retire. Actually, I kind of hope
hope the
fucking
red
Mitch
wave
McConnell
happens and they
retires.
I want to see him retire. He needs
Yeah,
to.
I want him
He should have
fucking
retired years ago.
I
How come
want
everybody that's running our country is geriatric?
I want to see Rand Paul as the Majority Leader for the Republicans.
Ted
I
Cruz.
think he, huh?
Ted
Or
Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Yeah. So
Yep.
here's the handy dandy video that has the voicemail on it.
Hey, pals, Dad. It's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, is going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
Ah.
That was a weird place to stop.
It fucking clicked over and it said naked Hunter Biden with prostitute. I was like, whoa.
And we got a picture of Hunter Biden's blurred out ass.
Thank God it was blurred. In every way, shape, or form, Biden has covered his son's indiscretions, either politically, legally, or throwing it under a rug.
Well, he did that with Biden's illegitimate child. That he cheated on his other brother's wife after his brother died. I'm so confused on how all that worked. But he had it with a prostitute. Let's see. His cocaine binges, his prostitutes that he's been caught with,
The
the
Burisma.
laptop, Burisma, the gun that he threw in a garbage can that he wasn't even allowed to have a gun. He threw it in a garbage can across from a school, and Secret Service actually came, pulled the gun, and then went to the gun dealer to try to get all the files of the gun sale. I mean, and everyone's saying, well, you know, Hunter Biden isn't the president. No, but you know what? What the president is doing with Hunter Biden reflects on him and what he's doing, what he knows about. Just like this. This happened after he knew a story was going to come out about Hunter's deal with Chinese oil company.
Yeah, so it was made aware. He was proud. He wanted to talk about it. So, and 10% went to the big guy.
And don't forget, Joe Biden also said that he's never discussed any of Hunter's overseas anything any of his overseas businesses. And we have proof that he has. So he lied about that.
I mean, there was a poll not that long ago that said that people probably would have never voted for Biden if the laptop story was actually able to be authenticated and actually told.
Right.
And then I was reading something just the other day. The reason why the news is acting the way they were is because back in Obama, they revoked the propaganda bill. Now, the news can say whatever it wants that the government's telling them to say without having to say it's coming from the federal government. So it is literally we're just being fed whatever they want us to know and then you have people that will actually do the research like us. We'll look for stuff. If we make mistakes, we'll fucking own the mistake. We'll correct the mistake and then we move the hell on.
Yeah.
But this is just
that was 2013. The Smith-Molt Modernization Act. I did not know about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was done during Obama had that revoked, allowing the government to be able to tell the news what they wanted without having to say this information is coming from the federal government.
Now you do have ABC News claiming that didn't happen. So I'm looking.
But look,
I'm
look
looking
at when
through a bunch
Trump
of
hit
different
office.
stuff.
It was the same story on every news. It was like written word for word.
Oh well, I can tell you from working in news, the reason that it all sounds the same is because they're all basically regurgitating what the AP says.
Yeah,
like I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen AP story come across and our producers or our reporters basically just copy and paste it and then put their own name on it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
reword a few things so it sounds more local and.
All right. So I've been kind of watching clips of the January 6th trial. Fucking bullshit that is. They had this great witness, Miss Hutchinson, who was, quote, there, saw it all, and doesn't have a fucking memory to save her goddamn life with. I really gotta write a grid review for Riverside because this fucking thing is amazing. Having to be able to do it like this.
Oh, being able to put up the clip right from the website.
Bingo. Without having to save it and prepare. That was the best thing they ever did.
Yeah.
I remember looking at him saying, "Rudy, could you explain what's happening on the 6th?" He had responded something to the effect of, "We're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great. The president's going to be there. He's going to look powerful. He's going to be with the members. He's going to be with the senators. Talk to the chief about it. Talk to the chief about it. He knows about it." I just had an interesting conversation with Rudy. "Mark, sounds like we're going to go to the Capitol." He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, "There's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know."
All right, we're going to play a drinking game with the word something to the effect of.
Yeah, I was going to say this whole thing that she says, if it would not be admissible in a court because almost everything that she says, 80% at least, was not first person. It's second, somebody told her or something said to the effect of, or, none of it, very little of it is actually first person. So it would be considered hearsay. I wish they had Johnny Depp's lawyer,
hearsay,
objection, hearsay, objection, hearsay,
objection, hearsay,
objection, hearsay,
leading, Bullshit. All right.
Things might get real, real bad on January 6th. But when we were in the offstage announce tent, I was part of a conversation. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons.
Hearsay.
They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here.
The mags are the metal detectors.
I saw Mr. Cipollone right before I walked out onto West Deck that morning, and Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of,
Hearsay.
Drink.
Please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen. The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol now.
Hearsay.
To which Bobby responded, Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol.
Mind you, right after this aired, the driver and head of Secret Service came out and said, that's a lie. He didn't do that.
So,
and said, we'll come in and
the
under
Secret
oath.
Service agent and the Secret Service agent may actually come and testify before the committee that the events that she's describing didn't unfold the way that she's saying.
Have you seen what the presidential
Two Secret
car
Service
looks
agents?
Like?
Two Secret Service agents, Tony Ornato and Robert Engel, are prepared to testify before Congress that then President Donald Trump did not lunge at a steering wheel or assault them in an attempt to go to the Capitol.
Yeah. Again, hearsay. False.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And I remember Pat saying to him something to the effect of,
Hearsay.
The rioters have gotten to the Capitol, Mark. We need to go down and see the president now. And Mark looked up at him and said, he doesn't want to do anything, Pat. And Pat said something to the effect of, and very clearly
Hearsay.
said this to Mark, something to the effect of, Mark, something needs to be done or people are going to die and the blood's going to be on your effing hands. I remember Pat saying something to the effect of,
Hearsay.
Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung.
Hearsay.
And Mark had responded something to the effect of, you heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunge against the wall.
Did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchison, did White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows ever indicate that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
Mr. Meadows did seek that pardon. Yes, ma'am.
So seeking a
I call
pardon
bullshit.
doesn't mean anything criminal happened. So seeking a pardon is going, listen, we have a incoming administration that's out for our heads, and I need a pardon to protect myself because they're going to come after us for anything and everything, regardless of how it is. So that doesn't mean anything criminal or nefarious actually happened.
Sure. But, man, I wonder how much she was actually fucking paid to give that speech, because that was some... That just seemed too fucking staged.
So much of that is such and such said to such and such, or such and such told me that they talked to such and such and this happened, and such told me that something to the effect of this, and it's like
I heard such and such say this to the effect of blah blah blah.
even the
That's
one
why I
thing
said
that she
drinking
said she
game.
was in the car and witnessed which was supposedly Trump lunging forward and grabbing the wheel and strangling one of the Secret Service agents. Now you have the Secret Service agents that supposedly were strangled saying that didn't happen.
Yeah, no. I could say 2022 is going to be interesting. The red wave hopefully does come. Really hope.
So here's my thing. I don't think anybody really cares about January 6th.
No one
the hardcore
does.
leftists do. But the average person, the mom in suburbia that's worrying about her gas prices and getting her kids to and from school, they don't care about January 6th. We were all there on January 6th. I remember watching it on TV unfold.
Yeah.
We all pretty much knew, unless you come out and find out that, Mark Meadows was speaking with the Proud Boys and saying, hey, go in through this corridor. But I don't see Trump or any of them saying, hey, I'll tell you what, why don't you go in, crack open a Coors Light and sit with your feet up at the head table with a big horn hat on.
That would have been interesting.
I want to hear that conversation.
They're just trying to make it to where, because they know Trump is planning to run again. They know he is.
Right.
I mean, he's flat out said, I'm running again. If it's anybody other than DeSantis, he's going to fucking take the nominee and take the seat again. He's going to fucking... I'll vote for DeSantis. I actually like DeSantis. I really do.
DeSantis in a heartbeat.
Don't get me wrong. Trump scares the shit out of me in a sense of you don't know what the fuck he's going to do.
No. That's exactly it. You don't know what he's going to say. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know. And,
but
that part is scary, is a scary proposition.
Yeah, I just think that, don't get me wrong, he did great for the United States. He opened everything up. He made us energy independent. He was trying to stop the bullshit from in the border.
Speaking of energy independence, did you hear? You can probably YouTube it. The French president all but begging Biden
to turn on the oil. Yeah, I saw that.
Oil. The French president going, "You have the oil. You have the oil. Give it to us." Yeah, the French president, telling Biden, stop with everything you're doing. Just turn on the oil. We don't need Russia. We don't need the Middle East. You have it.
And so, I mean,
having a hard time finding that.
I'm trying to find the one where it is, because there's got it. I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. Waiting for it to start. But so since we're going to talk about that after that, we'll get this thing. So Macaroon is overheard warning Bart that the UAE and the Saudi Arabia can't pump any more oil, and the UAE is basically asking because they're not going to be able to get any oil from Russia because, it stopped. Play.
You predicted it for a while. Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt you. with your advisor, I took the commission to go and do this. I call for
They're trying to stop
Hear
the
it.
cameraman.
Yep.
So I got him, he told me two things. One, I'm at the maximum. What he claimed, and this is my complete commitment. Second, he told me, according to us, that the Saudis can increase a little bit, but 150 or a little bit more, and they don't have huge capacities at this stage, before 6 months time. The last one, the very last point is about what we do on the Russian oil. He told me that we should.
Thank you. We got to keep up.
Excuse us.
So it's hard to hear because there's more.
Okay.
No, you're right.
Let's step inside. The camera won't
Look at
stop
how-
rolling.
Look at how old he looks compared to everybody else there.
Oh God.
Oh my God, he looks so geriatric compared to everybody else there. Like he doesn't even know what's going on.
Basically, they're asking that the Saudi Arabia and the UAE is not able to fill the quotas that the Russian oil industry was able to fill.
Right.
Now that
But
with
the
all the
US
bans
can.
in, they're running out, so they're begging Biden to reinstate all the oil permits, all the offshore drilling, to allow the companies to reinstate the pipeline. Let Canada be able to send us oil.
Right.
We will become energy independent again. Two,
It's going to help
we'll
our
be
economy
making money.
immensely. Yeah. It's
because
going
we
to
have
help our energy. It's going to help our economy. It's going to, you know what? It's not going to help. It's not going to help the leftist green agenda.
Bernie Sanders.
That's it.
Bernie Sanders will fucking die if this happens. Same with Elizabeth Warren. Well, she can fucking.
AOC, all of them. They have that leftist green agenda. And you want to know everybody, the president and they don't control the oil. Their green agenda is the reason we're paying $5 a gallon. I actually just got gas at $4.89 and it felt cheap compared to what it was. How sad is that? That $4.89 a gallon felt cheap.
So back, I wanted to talk about this last time. So with the January 6th, how people were just walking in, right? So you remember, Stephen Colbert, his team was let in without badges or anything like that into the Capitol.
Yep.
And they were detained. And here is him talking about it. I believe he's going to talk about it because that's what the link was.
Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Hey, quick question. How was your weekend? I certainly had an interesting one because some of my staff had a memorable one. Here's what happened. Last week, I heard from my old colleague, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Triumph offered to go down to D.C. and interview some Congress people to highlight the January 6th hearings. I said, sure, if you can get anyone to agree to talk to you, because, and please don't take this as an insult, you're a puppet. Well, he did. Democratic and Republican Congresspeople agreed to talk to Triumph. He's a bipartisan puppy. He's so neutral, he's neutered. Now, Triumph and my folks shot for 2 days in congressional offices across the street from the Capitol building. They went through security clearance, shot all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, invited into the offices of the Congresspeople they were interviewing. And that's very important. You have to invite Triumph in. He works on Dracula rules. Now, end of day 2, Thursday evening, after they'd finished their interviews, they were doing some last-minute puppetry and jokey make-em-ups in a hallway. when Triumph and my folks were approached and detained by the Capitol Police, which actually isn't that surprising. The Capitol Police are much more cautious than they were, say, 18 months ago, and for a very good reason. If you don't know what that reason is, I know what news network you watch. So,
Yeah. No.
Oh, that was a partisan joke. Oh, you want Fox News. Oh.
Well, the thing is that what was it? They were actually let in by one of the House members. Adam Schiff got called out because they caught him on camera opening the door. But the thing is, Colbert's team that day had no reason to be in said Capitol building. Yeah, they were in there for a B-roll shot. Fantastic. The thing is, that day, you didn't have your shit.
Didn't have the clearance that day. You weren't escorted by
Right.
the Capitol Police, all of that. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, they were all detained and they were kicked out. So good for them. But the thing about my honest thing is Ted Cruz got to it during the inclination about January 6th is the FBI was there in some capacity because they will not admit it. They will not deny it, but they can't go into it.
Right.
So the question is, why was the FBI there? So the ultimate question is, how staged was this? And I remember watching the video of it where there were two people running out of Nancy Pelosi's, "We're not Antifa this time. We're here for you guys." And they ran. And I'm like, that does not sound right at all. It was such a fucking setup. It's retarded. So
Again, to me, what I saw was it was a riot. It was a spark. Something sparked it. Someone in the crowd. It could have been an FBI agent, like people said, that was telling people to rush in. It could have been something else.
a lot of it,
Either way,
a
it
lot
was
of people,
group
how
thought.
people entered was that the Capitol Police opened the doors.
Yeah, they just put down the
They opened the
barricade
doors and let people in. So my thing is also, why won't Nancy Pelosi turn over her phone? Won't turn over the video? Won't turn? She said she's claiming sovereign immunity and won't turn any of the shit over. I understand you're the speaker. You can't. You shouldn't. But you should be on trial for this because
You were in charge of
it has
Capitol
been
Police.
proven. It was proven that Trump requested for the National Guard to be there. And it was shown that the DC mayor and Nancy Pelosi denied that request. So if Trump wanted the National Guard there for safety for all, why was the request ultimately denied? That is the and nobody wants to answer that question. And I don't think we'll ever get that answer.
No, and that's the thing with this whole. So the thing with this whole commission and everything, the January 6th hearings, is the only reason that Congress should be having hearings is either for impeachment, or for policy. Do we need to change something in how we do it? What went wrong? What do we need to do to change policy? They're not going after anything when it comes to policy, when it comes to security, when it comes to any of that. So the only thing that they're doing is they're trying to put any Republican and anybody tangentially associated with Trump up there to go after Trump himself so that he can't run again. They want to try to find something to indict Trump, even if they found something that the DOJ can, get a little bit of a warrant for him or anything like that. I don't think it'll stand up in court. And that's the thing. So the other thing they could be doing is they could be doing it for court of public opinion, but I don't think that's even going to work because nobody cares. Your hardcore leftists care. Your MSNBC cares. But they were going to vote Democrat anyway. You're trying to sway the people that are, leaning Republican to try to get them to sway the, perfect middle of the road, or the moms that don't really have a political care, try to get them to care because they're the swing. The swing is the people in suburbia, the moms in suburbia. They're the ones that won Youngkin in Virginia, was the moms in suburbia, that they don't pay attention to politics until it's an election time. They're not going to swing me and you. They're not going to swing the hardcore leftists. They're on the other side. They believe what they believe, regardless of, what they see. It's going to take a hell of a lot to try to convince me that something is going on, because so far they haven't brought up anything that shows that Trump or any of his guys planned, conspired, or called for any violence.
No.
So I think they're losing on all fronts with this January 6th.
Yeah, I think it's they're throwing wet pasta to the wall and just seeing what sticks.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're throwing handfuls of it and hoping one of them does.
And the last thing for this evening that caught my eye this week is up in Upper Michigan. The U.S. military decided to close off a section of highway.
It's the National Guard, actually.
No, the National Guard, whatever. To test land A-10 Thunderbolts. So if you don't know what an A-10 Thunderbolt is, that is the fuck around and find out of airplanes in the U.S. Air Force.
Yep. According to MLive,
here's a picture.
During the closure, 8 A-10 Thunderbolt 2 aircrafts, a MC-12W aircraft, and a U-28A aircraft landed on the highway to demonstrate engine running, refueling, and munitions loading in austere environments. Basically, what they're saying is, are we able to land these on roads instead of runways so that basically we can land anywhere, get them refilled, get them back up in the air fast enough without having to set up an air base, which would give them a lot more wiggle room when it comes to fighting, ideally, foreign wars. It was the National Guard, so the conspiracy theorist in me goes, well, it also means that they know where they can land in the United States to quell an uprising.
That's kind of what I was thinking, especially. So I have a few family members who are Air Force members, and I've seen the A-10 Thunderbolt up close. I could reach out and touch it. The mini Gatling gun that's on the front of that thing can just fucking shit bricks. And then the bomb capacity of that thing. These were used World War II, Vietnam, Korea. These were your workhorse fighter planes. These weren't like the dogfighting planes. These were the I'm going to come in and just level sections of your property planes. And the fact is that they don't even make these planes anymore. So they're using whatever's left still. They're not even manufacturing these planes, from my understanding.
I'm looking this up on Wikipedia. The first flight was May 10th, 1972.
Oh.
Was the first flight of the A-10 Thunderbolt 2.
Yeah, so that would have been...
It was introduced in October 1977.
So it would have been Vietnam. Vietnam?
Yeah.
Vietnam.
And?
Yeah.
It served in, according to this, the A-10 was improved Air Force. It wasn't used in Vietnam. It was first used in the first Gulf War against an American-led intervention into Iraq from Kuwait. It participated in other conflicts in Grenada, the Balkans, Afghanistan, again in Iraq, and in other... It just says, and other Islamic states in the Middle East.
Yeah. That's a bad motherfucking plane. My thing is the fact that they want to make comments about us not being able to have our guns when they got planes like this that they think they can use domestically. That makes me worry. But everyone wants to know, why are they landing in Michigan?
Upper Peninsula, because anybody that's been to the Upper Peninsula knows you pretty much don't drive on the roads that often. Like, you can drive through Michigan's UP for hours and not pass another car, so it's an easy place to shut down roads. But you know, the fact that they're practicing it, I mean, I guess if they're going to practice it, they have to practice it on U.S. soil. I don't know if I truly buy, though. Like I say, the conspiracy part of my brain wants to say, yeah, okay, well, so in the desert or something. First off, they landed it on a paved road, like a big paved. What's a highway in Michigan? Is it a 2-lane road or a 4-lane?
It looked like a 4-lane.
Yeah, in a 4-lane highway. So they landed it in a 4-lane highway in the Upper Peninsula. If they're talking about doing that in other countries, though, you know, they don't necessarily have the same roads that we do. I've been to Europe. I can tell you, they don't have straight, long roads like we do. I mean, their roads are crisscrossing. They're narrower. They're, going in every direction. It's not built like the U.S. is, especially in Michigan, where the roads are very much grid-like. They're built like a grid. Everything crosses at 90 degrees and all this stuff, or it's close to it. But then the other part, like I say, is it's U.S. soil. Is it preparation for being able to get aircraft from one part of the country to the other? Because, there's an uprising in, again, northern Michigan, and that's where it starts. Remember, we keep saying the next Civil War that hopefully we don't get to, but it looks like we're heading towards it, is going to be neighbor versus neighbor. And it's going to be also kind of country folk versus city folk. And being able to deploy these in the middle of nowhere in Michigan or Wyoming or something like that, that's a scary proposition, because one of the things Me by myself, I don't stand a chance. My house doesn't stand a chance against one of them. But the whole idea is that, somebody isn't fighting just me. They're fighting all of my neighbors that have guns going out of their house. And is the U.S. government really going to bomb entire cities and villages? And it makes you wonder when it comes to something like this, if they're already doing tests. Now, maybe they do have, a completely foreign, reasoning for it. Like I said, it is the National Guard and not the U.S. military that's doing it. National Guard is supposed to be for domestic and not foreign. But it just gives me pause. And I hope anybody that is in the armed forces that's listening, if you ever get the command to take out U.S. civilian populations, that you follow the Constitution and not take up those arms against your fellow man, against your fellow Americans. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I would say that's it for the night. Again, this is Fire Talk Radio episode 38. Check us out on firetalkradio.com. Email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Voicemail us at 814-380-9820. Check us out on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. You'll always know when we go live. Because I'm very slow at getting the shows out. I actually got last week's show out today. But always, music is provided by Psychostick. Gotta love them. They're very awesome. And check us out on Spotify. If you go, actually check us out on Facebook. Our anchor page is up, so you can go check there and see where we're all at. And have a good night.
Thanks, guys. See ya.